He's never fought us. Not us united.
Oh! I can so see that. That's it. Welcome to Comics League Rewatch. I am Jared, and today we are rewatching Justice League Hearts and Minds. I'm here with my regular co-host, Nick from the Phoenix Press. What's up, dude?
War never changes.
Yeah, so this is basically another war story. It's actually a pretty awesome Green Lantern story. So we're gonna.
Yeah, honestly, like right from the bat, you can tell this is going to be a more politically charged kind of episode because there's two very big things. There's one little reference buried in there, and then there's the mother effing title. So for those who are the younger persuasion, Hearts and Minds is a reference to a phrase often used during the Iraq War of the early 2000s. So one of the things that like George Bush Jr. was saying is, we want to win the hearts and minds of these Iraqi citizens. And that was like something that was like way repeated. It's not something that was invented for that era, but it is Vietnam. A phrase. Yes, but it is a phrase that is often attributed to the Iraq War era. Like, I think that's fair to say.
They even said was kind of, here's a piece of trivia. The salute of the Legion of the Third Eye used for Despero is actually akin to that used by a certain group in 1940s Germany.
Yes, the Yazis.
Mm-hmm. But, okay, so this is an episode that features an interesting Justice League villain called Despero, who basically employs a lot of mind control.
Which I have to note is voiced by Keith David.
So he's Spawn, is what we're saying there. But
in another universe, yes.
And the Arbiter, but
and the trainer of the Cape. Which,
yes, exactly.
Nobody gets that reference, but I don't care.
Yeah. So actually, what's kind of interesting is that this episode introduces us to a character named Katma Tui, who you could say she's like a version of she's like this universe's version of Saronic Natu, the daughter of Sinestro, because she kind of fills in that role. But what we'll find out is that not only is she the ex-lover of Jon Stewart, but she's also his drill instructor. By the way, I love how Shiera basically got all jealous at that.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Because trust me, you see what I'm saying when I said season 2 builds that relationship up, right?
Trust me, like we'll get to that portion. Like that is definitely a highlight of the two-parter. But like, let's try and like build a foundation first.
Yeah.
Also, I also want to say, this is the first time we get a mention of Kyle Rayner.
Yes,
in Justice League.
It's pronounced Rayner.
Whatever. So we get two references to Kyle Rayner, and it's like, oh, that recruit Kyle Rayner, but also the reference, oh, we're gonna have to call up Kyle Rayner to be the guardian of Sector whatever. F you.
Yeah. So anyway, but so I love the friendship, the bromance between Kilowog and Flash. Or like he feeds him ice cream, and then when they get beaten out out of John's apartment by an old lady, and they go, "If we ever need a replacement for Shiera, we know who to call."
No, wait. Also, like, are you saying they got beaten by an old lady with a stick?
Yeah, exactly. I know what.
If you watch Spider-Man, you know what I'm referencing.
So the reason why what happens is Kilowog crash lands on Earth and goes, "Hey, he's coming. Thanos is Despero's coming.
Onslaught is coming."
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, exactly. If any 90s X-Men fans know what that's talking about. But so Jon Stewart, being the impulsive guy he is at this point, flies up and just flies to go reinforce the Green Lanterns that are fighting Despero's guys. At the same time, Kilowog's energy is like out of the ring, so he has to go and find Jon's power battery, which for those of you that don't know, with Green Lantern lore, they store their power batteries in a pocket dimension, so they can always just call it and just say, okay, there you go, brightest day and blackest night. Which, again, the movie didn't do that, so I was really sad about that, in addition to a lot of that movie, but the Green Lantern movie was actually not that bad. But anyway, back to this. And I love how they make it, so Jon shows up, and he finds the place completely taken over by Despero, and then he finds Katma Tui doing her best cosplay of Princess Leia, of slave Princess Leia. Tell me you didn't get Princess Leia slave vibes from that.
I got some vibes.
Yeah, you got some vibes. And so, so John is basically recruited into the resistance against Despero. And we also get the origin of Despero, where he was like this dude that was cast out into the desert, found this fire thing called Pytar, and then it gave him all this enlightenment.
Let's just call a spade for a spade. He's an evil Moses.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, cast out in the desert, finding a sacred fire, like he's evil Moses. Like it's a very the ties to like Moses and biblical stories is very apt here. I also want to call out a certain line that Destro says. He specifically says, "A good soldier follows orders." Which
anyone that's watched Clone Wars knows what that is.
No, that goes even deeper.
But I know the real world reference of that, by the way.
So it was used by a certain regime in the 1940s. The reason we're not saying the word is because YouTube doesn't like it when we say the word. So the most I'll say is used by
it's
Yahtzees.
Yeah, you know what we're talking about. I'll tell you what. It was Germany during World War II. I don't think we have to say any more than that.
I mean, I just say Yahtzees because it's just far enough, you know.
What they're referring to is at the end of the war, because everyone was brought up with war crimes.
Jared, I got this.
Okay.
So in the Nuremberg war trials, which happened after the war, when they were trying a lot of like the generals, the higher ups of the regime, the common defense was, "I was just following orders," and that kind of became like a meme kind of thing. Like certain people say a phrase and it becomes a meme. So it was mimetic in to this day. So nowadays, whenever someone uses I was just following orders of the defense, people instantly do not buy it, and people instantly their mind goes back to that. So like saying I was just following orders is like the worst possible thing you can say in your defense.
They made a reference to that in First Class, where Professor X goes, "They're just following orders," and then Charles Xavier goes, "I've been at the mercy of men following orders for too long." I love that line.
I'm sorry, but I actually had that scene playing in my head, and like we need to cover that movie someday. Like seriously.
We will. We're gonna cover all the Fox X-Men movies, but.
And lead up to Deadpool 3, we need to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So basically, what I love about the other thing I love about this episode, because it's basically so Despero does something to Jon Stewart's mind, so he has to relearn how to be a Green Lantern.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Do or do not. There is no try.
But I just love Katma Tui having to reteach him how to be a Green Lantern. And you know what that goes through. And then the Justice League shows up, and by Justice League, I mean Martian Manhunter, Shayera, and Flash. The Trinity doesn't show up.
Because Superman and Wonder Woman in this fight would have been a little bit too OP.
I mean, you're fighting someone that has mind control powers.
But still, Superman and Wonder Woman in this fight would be a little bit...
Arguably, the Flash is kind of overpowered for this fight, but I get what you're going
with. The Flash does very little in this. Like he practically doesn't even need to be here.
Yeah. They just have him there for the scene with him and Kilowog geeking out by eating. I love where he hands Kilowog the tape of Old Yeller, and Kilowog eats that too. But anyway, I love John having to relearn Green Lantern. You have Shayera also being there for him. Okay, so let's talk about this. How Shayera turned jealous real quick as soon as she met Katma Tui and learned that they were together.
Yeah, like I would. Okay, so we're getting into this. That's fine. I would say this is the series where the attraction went from hinting to just outright it being there. Like it went from subtext to regular text in this episode.
Yeah.
And one thing that like I really gotta point out and give props to Shayera, even after John had lost his powers and he was not really as much super anymore, she was still there for him. Like she was still supporting him, and her love for him was still there. Her love never faltered, which shows she loved the man, not the lantern.
Mhm.
which I'm touching is because like there's a lot of times where like a woman marries a man because she's in love with his position, his power, and
Like
then
Lois
like
Lane. I had to. I had to.
I
love that
wish.
awkward silence that just came up with it.
Yeah, because like
That has to. I may clip that and turn that into a short.
please do.
That would be so funny.
But like, sorry, I was on a roll there. Like, I'm not mad. That was a good one. But like,
I just love how the awkward silence that came up after I said that.
Just the look of like, really?
Just the way you just stopped. It was like,
You certainly derailed it.
I wish Talati and Jay Heat were here so they could hear this too. But
Then
anyway,
they said-
as you were saying, sir.
Want to bet.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this. This is for you, Nick. Now I'm playing this clip for everyone today.
Dweeb.
All right. Let's I guess we try and get back on track.
All right.
So you have like, I'm trying. So she loved him. Well, gosh dang it! I had this whole good train of thought, and
You were talking about how Shayera loved the man and not the powers, and that oftentimes you have
not
that.
the lantern.
Yeah.
And like so often you have women who like are attracted to a man's position, his power, and then like when he loses it, it's like when you have like the football star who breaks his leg and the wife divorces him. You know, you see that so often, or like a director who he marries a woman. And as soon as he loses his career, she's not like that. Like
Nope.
John, he was still trying to fight, but he had lost his lantern powers, and she was still there for him. Like, yes, she was jealous, but like, honestly, the way she treated him was honestly rather sweet. And I like the almost kiss they had. I honestly feel like this is the episode where she actually realized, yes, I love him.
Yeah, this is when they really, because it just goes uphill from here until and then there's a certain episode that like it finally crescendos, and I'm not talking about Starcross. It comes before that, but I was
about to say when the stars cross.
No, it's not that one. That actually puts an interesting strain on it, but it's not that one. But it's like because they were like the one relationship that I think from the show that works. Yes, I said one relationship.
I really feel like the producers of the show, they weren't intending for this to happen, but it's just kind of like they saw it kind of developing, like, actually, yeah, let's lean into this.
I can imagine it was like they were like in the writer's room writing out these episodes, and all of a sudden they were like, there's this subtext between Shayera and John. We could just put them together, and they're like, okay, cool. That'll be the one romance in the show that makes sense. Yes, I have to make multiple references to that.
I mean, you're allowed to have an opinion, even if it's the wrong one.
Even if it's on my channel.
Yes, you're allowed to be wrong on your channel.
Okay, so now I have to put on my to-do list, make Captain Marvel intro for Nick. All right, so... But by the way, I've decided, yes, I am going to clip that Lois Lane bit. That has to be made into a short. So the thing is that it's one of those things. It's one of those relationships, because here's the thing. And a lot of times in cartoon shows, the relationship seems very forced. You know what I'm talking about? This does not feel forced whatsoever.
No.
This is like they always had a mutual respect, and that mutual respect naturally blossomed into it. Because even going back to in Brightest Day, the first Green Lantern arc, she stood up for him when the other Green Lanterns turned their back on him. Remember, she has always been in his corner specifically. And it's like this just 100% solidifies. And I agree with you, Nick. I think at this point, I think both of them finally admitted that, yeah, this is my person.
Maybe not verbally, but I think kind of like
Subtextual
wise, yeah.
Because they're like, okay, I can't be with Diana because she's a Superman.
Wait, are we talking about like John and
John
Sierra?
Sayera. John Sayera.
Yeah, like that moment where like they put their arms around each other and almost kiss. Yeah, I think that was like they spoke. It was kind of like a nonverbal conversation. Like, yeah, I like you. I like you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So go back to this. I just love what, and you notice on the relationship bit. Here's the thing: you notice it was when she is being tortured by Despero where he finally gets the willpower to use the ring again.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, this episode could not have hammered that in any farther.
They played it extremely well.
And you notice, as soon as that happened, he not impressed Despero. Like, he freaking just... I use that whenever a superhero lays the smack down. If there's one thing you don't mess with, it's a guy that has a power, has a ring that can... The one thing you don't mess with, it's the girl of a guy that has a ring that can do anything he wants it to. You do not mess with that.
It runs on will. You don't piss off a man whose powers run on sheer willpower, and you don't give him
augmented by torturing his girlfriend.
Exactly. You know, this might be a good moment to reference in Pantheon.
It might. Oh, that's happening. Oh, that is 100% happening. I have the scene in my head. But going back to this, it's like, and then I love where John Jones, being the telepath, he actually merges with the spiritual fire that that Despero was supposed to be like worshiping and interpreting, and he goes, no, this, and then the pie chart basically goes, no, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. It was supposed to be peaceful, not like a despot. He's just using me for his own personal gain. And then everyone turns into trees. So
yeah, it was a really freaky moment. I think this was really, really well played.
It was, and I definitely dug it. And again, so this is one of my absolute favorite episodes, particularly because Green Lantern. I've established that I love Green Lantern for particularly in this show, and the Shayera John thing and how they play that off. It doesn't even sound it's not even cheesy when they do it. But also, they use the characters that would actually struggle in this scenario. Going back to what we talked about, how Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman aren't used in this episode. They use the characters that would actually have to struggle in this.
Yeah.
Because the minute you bring Superman, even the weakened Superman from the DCAU, he's gonna completely body Despero. He's gonna not impress Despero.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have to keep bringing that up because that is awesome. But in terms of like now, Nick, how do you rate this episode out of 10? Let's start with that. Let's go with that.
You're gonna. This is a 9.7.
Oh wow!
I can't. I want to give it a 10, but I just can't. But I'm gonna give it a 9.7. Like I don't like. This will probably be the only 9.7 I give. Well, who knows? I haven't seen the whole thing, but like, this was really good. Like, I really, really enjoyed this two-parter. Very well written, perfectly acted. Like, the action, the suspense, it just was firing all friggin' cylinders. Like, yeah, like, I'm gonna say, so far, this is my favorite two-parter of the season. Maybe even the entire series.
Oh, wow, that's awesome, because there have been a lot of really great ones. So I before I log off, and by the way, I agree. I give it a solid 10 out of 10 because Green Lantern, and they do the romance really well. So I'm going to go into some trivia real quick, and then we'll wrap up. The title of this two-parter, Hearts and Minds, refers to a campaign employed by the U.S. military to win the popular support of the Vietnamese people. So we got that. We've gone into that. The term is also associated with propaganda. In this episode, Despero is depicted as a demagogic leader who recruited followers by use of long and persuasive speeches, winning the hearts and mind control their minds in the literal sense. So who's that?
Yeah.
And then the Salute of the Legion is employed by a certain group in World War II era Germany. We mentioned that. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman don't appear in this episode, which that makes sense. We talked about that. Bruce Timm commented that Despero's cult was heavily influenced by religious extremist groups like the Taliban. I got to be honest, I got major like Taliban AQ vibes from this too.
Mm-hmm.
Like major in terms of like, if you've because I studied a lot of like Middle East history in college, and yeah, a lot of this is very similar. Especially in the scene where in which the follower tries to murder a citizen for owning books. So there you go. Tim also commented that Pytar's final form as a giant tree ties into several world mythologies and religious imagery, citing the world tree, the burning bush, and the crown of thorns as examples. So that's the tree thing. So all in all, fantastic episode. I honestly, I enjoy season 2 better than season 1 because you have so many of these like back to back.
Both are good. Both are good, but this is definitely a step up.
They're firing on all green cylinders on this one because I know because rewatching this, I'm like, yeah, I enjoy this a lot more. So on that note, everyone. By the way, so Nick, did you have anything you want to promote?
No.
What you got coming on the channel?
I we got to wrap this up, brother.
Okay, it's all good. But anyway, so on that note, everyone, stay heroic, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.